Awesome. How's it going? Okay, okay. I'm just going to catch up with what you've been doing so far. Okay, so you haven't done many laps yet. So, since you're already in a run, do you want to just continue this run? I've just started recording. Since your tyres are up to temperature and everything. Let's just... It took me like 6 laps before I was really happy. So maybe let's do maybe 6 to 8, something like that, until you're comfortable. Or we've kind of reached a bit of a plateau, and then we'll have a bit of a chat about the track. But do you know the layout, or are you learning this for the first time now? Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll try and give you some references when you've done a few more laps. It's always difficult for me to provide references because I don't tend to use them, but I must be using something subconsciously. So I'll figure it out and I'll let you know what it is I'm looking out for. Yeah. Well, the good thing is this car seems to be able to cope with quite a lot of entry speed. So apart from the really tight corners, you can get away with carrying quite a lot of speed. So if you do slightly mess up a braking zone, normally you survive. But I'm going to just stay quiet for a couple of laps and just ride on board. Yeah, okay. I'm just watching it back through now. Yeah, okay. We're going to talk a lot about that complex, the one that you just mentioned. Okay, that corner's not bad at all. So that's one we don't have to worry about too much. Yeah, I prefer this personally, but this is just my kind of sim car. I don't even think that's a breaking point at all. I think that's a lift into that one. Okay, and that's also really decent through the chicane there. So two of the trickiest corners you're looking pretty good at. So that's a good start. And that's the right line into the final corner too, so that's all good. Okay, so it's some of the more complex direction changes that I think we're going to probably spend some of our time working on, and obviously giving you brake references. Nice apex at turn 1. Okay, there's a lot of lap time in these two corners that you've just gone through, and I'm going to talk you through how to make that really easy when you finish this run. So don't worry if that feels a bit difficult at the moment. We're going to make that a very easy section. Yeah, you're not a million miles away at all anyway. We'll just make sure you know exactly what you need to do. This is one of my top 2 favourite tracks for cars like this, so I'm very, very confident that I'm telling you exactly the right thing around here. So yeah, try this next one with just kind of like a lift. There's a lot of downforce. Sorry, carry on. Okay, good. Okay, maybe let's do like 2 more laps and then we'll just have a little break, and I'll talk you through what I think the low-hanging fruit is, and give you some direction. You made it through. Looked like you brake very late to me into the chicane, but you survived. Right, let's do one more. Okay. Ah, okay, it's all right. Yeah, it's all right. It wasn't going to be your fastest lap of the day because we're going to make you way faster than you would have gone then anyway. So don't worry. Yeah, just finish. Just finish that lap and then just stop anywhere on the straight here. I'm going to just show you a couple of things. Okay, so can you see my screen? Oh, hang on. Am I not sharing? I might not be sharing my screen. Hang on. That is a fundamental error. There we go. You should be able to see me now. Awesome. Right, okay. So, I think in particular, there's one thing that I want you to work on after this. We'll have a look at the data in a sec anyway, and we'll go over everything. We'll go over every corner, but just for this next run, there's just one change I want you to make. So keep everything exactly the same, except for the corner that we're about to get to in a moment. So this is all really decent. You know, you're approximately right on lines everywhere. There's going to be some tweaks, but it's this tight left that leads into the tight right. So turns 3 and 4, I guess we call these ones. And basically what I want you to do is have the car touching this kind of grasscrete thing here, this kind of concrete area with the grass through it. We want to be on that basically all the way around. And you can see we're definitely not doing that. You actually on this was your best lap. You not only did you not touch it, there's no way you're going further and further away from it. So I actually want the car to be over here where my cursor is. And it's going to make this right-hander absolutely flat out. So it'll be full throttle through here once the tyres are warm. And even when the tyres are cold on like the first couple of laps, it's going to be just like a kind of half lift to get through here. So it'll make this corner way, way less tight. So the way you'll do this is by actually going in probably quite a lot slower. I don't know what I haven't looked at the data yet, so I don't know what our relative speeds are. But let's say as you get to like the beginning of this black plastic drain here, you're doing 115k. Let's just see what mine looks like into that same bit. I would guess it's a lot slower. Let's have a look. I might be wrong, so 98k. There we go. Yeah, so quite a lot slower. And what you'll see now when I do this slow-mo, actually probably not that slow, let's go that speed, is I stay tight all the way around, really like nearly until the curb ends. So I'm leaving kind of when there's 3 red squares left to go. And you see how much more room I've got into here. And it makes, if I just go back actually, you'll see, if you look at my throttle position here, I'm full throttle from now. And I'm not going to come off. I'm just going to turn in and the car just goes through there easily flat out. Lots and lots of curb obviously as well. And on the exit, you can use quite a lot of curb. But it's just foot to the floor and off you go. And obviously you can use this exit curb here without any off track. So that is the main thing that I want you to change on this next one. We'll have a quick look through the rest of the lap, but I don't really want to give you too many things to do because if we nail this, we're going to find loads of time and then we'll like pick off the other things bit by bit. But yeah, just in full speed. In fact, I'll show you full speed in the cockpit because that's the view that you see. I know you can't hear this, but it sounds a bit like yours, just a bit slower. So you don't have to take that flat out. I didn't on my first few laps. I didn't realise the car could do it. But the main thing is getting to this point, getting up to the inside curb and just go slow enough that you can stay tight all the way around. You see, I'm still going slow here, 94k, 96. Only here where I can kind of see into the next corner that I'm opening it up. So the key thing is slow, tight. You'll see your delta go massively green as you take a much, much shorter distance around here. It doesn't matter that you're going slower because you're just going, not only are you going to get a quicker exit, you're just covering like 30, 40 metres less distance. So that's it. Let me just go back to yours. We'll just have a very quick skirt through the rest of that lap. I think one of the main things, well, not one of the main things, one of the other things I saw was during your heavy braking events, you know you had a spin down here on one lap on the brakes, and I think there was one other place. It wasn't the exit of the chicane, that was on throttle, but there was a couple that you had under braking, and it was where the rear locked at the last minute. You know, you were braking hard, everything was fine, and then suddenly the rear went at the last minute. And that's because, I'm not looking at it on the data yet, but I can tell for sure, it's because you will have kept your brake pressure a bit too hard for a bit too long, and obviously the downforce has bled away, and then the rear snaps around. So just be deliberate in your reduction of brake pressure as the speed falls away. We might not have even spoken about this before, and sometimes I just kind of, I don't want to teach people how to suck eggs or kind of be too patronising when it comes to some of these things, which might, depending who you're talking to, this might just be like second nature, and it might be, you know, I might just be telling you it for the sake of it, but let's just do it anyway because it's like a high downforce car. So obviously the faster you're going, the more downforce you've got, and therefore the faster you're going, the harder you can hit the brakes. And during a braking zone, the speed is changing all the time and it's coming down and down and down, and so obviously your downforce is becoming less and less and less through a braking zone. So the pressure that you could get away with your pedal in the first part of the braking zone isn't the same amount of pressure at the end. You've got to really bleed off that pedal, coupled to the fact you... Okay, so that's good then. So this is good to talk about it, because every time I'm braking in a car with downforce, I'm kind of subconsciously, just through practice over many years, visualizing how much downforce I've currently got and therefore how hard I can be braking. So it'll be like hard and then immediately bleeding off. It's like or if you sustain any brake pressure, it's only the very early part of the braking. So it's kind of like hard reduction until like fully off. And it's literally just the case that when I'm doing 50 miles an hour on turning, I've got a fraction of the downforce that I had doing 160 miles an hour into the braking zone. So, and I want to turn the car as well, so I've got even less braking potential because I'm putting all the load on one tyre. So you also don't want to lock an inside. But to me, it looked like you were braking hard and you sustained the pressure just a bit too long, and the rear went, yeah, I don't have enough downforce to cope with that pressure anymore, and then just suddenly locked up. So so that's it. Yeah. Yeah, and this is only really relevant in cars that have a lot of downforce, like something like this, something with big wings, especially when the car is quite light. If you're in a GT car or something like that, you don't have the same worry of suddenly locking the rears, because you never had that much downforce to begin with. It's just with this, you had loads at the beginning of the braking zone and then basically nothing as you turn into the corner. So you just have to... It's like super... it's like a super intense version of having to get trail braking right, because you're coping with the weight transfer and the downforce reduction. So anyway, that's why you tend to see... In fact, this is a good time to probably bring up the data. You tend to see a quite specific brake trace in single-seater braking. So let's just... find it, and it tends to be like a big spike to begin with, and then like real ramp down in the pressure. So let's grab mine. And let's find yours. It's easy that our names are together on here. Right, let's go with that one. And let's just see. Let's have a little look at whether our brake traces are similar or different. Why is there only one line here? Either you've done an identical lap to me, or it's not loaded your lap yet. Or my lap. Maybe it hasn't loaded my lap yet. What's going on? There we go. It's back. Right, so let's just have a little look. I don't think our brake traces are massively different. So turn 1, let's have a look. So... yeah, that will do a similar thing. Right, let me just swap these colours around. I think everything I've just said there, you are kind of doing anyway. So you're the red one, I'm the blue one. I think probably the bigger issue, because look at our brake shape is quite similar. You're not sustaining a super high pressure. Okay, yeah, mine reduces a little bit earlier here, and I'm kind of holding it on, feeling that everything's okay. Probably because I'm in a straight line. It doesn't matter so much if you're going in a straight line. And then here, as I start to turn in, I have a massive ramp down, but it looks quite similar. So you're not a million miles away. Turn 1, I think the only difference really is you're going down to first gear, I'm staying in second. Let's just have a look at the main... Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I think for me, it seems quicker in second. First seems like I'm immediately changing back up to second gear. This is the little section we're talking about, so hopefully we're going to see quite a big difference in here. In fact, you can see this is the part where we saw you were going quicker than me, and then obviously that causes you to have to go quite a lot slower on the second part. So we'll see a change in that after. Like, there we go. There's the line differences. So that's going to be a dramatic difference next time. And then really the other low-hanging fruit is here, isn't it? So that's the other bit we were talking about, funnily enough, isn't it? It's the other kind of direction change later on in the lap. So the 90 left, 90 right. So okay, main difference is that I think you're just braking harder. We're just not using the downforce through here. So the two things then, so let's give you two things to change on this next run. We're going to do the tighter line through turn 3, and I think we're going to do a much faster mid-corner speed through this corner. And I think you know the one I'm on about, so let me just mute my phone. The 90 left, 90 right. Yeah, but I'm staying in 4th because I'm expecting to be going through faster. So I think you're expecting, okay, I've got to slow down this extra amount for this corner. So obviously you're going down to the right gear for the speed you're doing. Upping this speed, and it's not insignificant, it's like 30k or so, that's going to just drag you up a gear anyway. You won't want to change down. You'll naturally be in that gear. It's going to be from not braking as hard. That's the main thing. So just send it in. And you can see my blue line has to go wide. I'm turning in earlier, but I'm doing this kind of outside, inside, outside, outside, inside, outside kind of a deal. Whereas you're doing an outside, inside, inside. So that shows you how much extra space you had to play with on the exit. So I'll just show you what it looks like. So in fact, let's just look at yours first of all. And yeah, don't try too hard to change the other corners for this one. Let's just use these two things. Obviously, if you can improve on others, then great. But we'll go to those afterwards. Okay, so entry here, I think you can widen it by driving one tyre on this kind of plastic grass here that isn't slippery, certainly in the dry. I want you to be fully on top of that green here. It's very, very flat, so you can really drive over the top of that. So we've already widened the track dramatically by using this and that, and then obviously going all the way wide up to the curb. You don't have to go on it, but kind of up to the white line on the exit. And those three things, I mean, you've got way more room to play with, and it's going to just feel much easier through there, and you'll feel, oh, why wasn't I going this quick through here before? Obviously, this is with the caveat of, you know, once the tyres are warm. So like lap 2, you should, I mean, even on lap 1, you'll be able to do something like that. But here we go. So this is what I mean about the using that kind of plastic grass. In fact, I'm going wider than I thought. So all the way out there, and then trying. Let's have a look, actually. Let's go on board, because it'll be a more realistic view here. So just before that white line I'm braking, just before I get here. So there. Just like here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you're braking harder and earlier, so we can brake. You can still brake similar. I'm braking just after that tarmac change. Just after, yeah, like here. But it's much gentler than you are, because I'm not feeling like I have to stop the car. I'm feeling like I can really send it in. And on this lap, which was my best one, but I didn't use as much of the green here as I wanted to. I touched it a little bit. I mean, that's fine, though. This amount's fine. And then obviously on the exit, all the way wide. If I didn't even go all the way wide, but just a hell of a lot wider than you did. So that's it. It's mainly this entry phase. That'll just set up the rest. So it'll just, the car will grip, and then you can work on the next bit afterwards. So, okay. So those are the main things. Let's go do a few laps like that. We don't have to do as many, because I want you to have time to look at some other things too. But let's go do those. So even on this outlap, try to do turn 3 slow and tight, and you will not get a off track unless you're completely off the track on the inside. So you can effectively really cut the inside of this next corner. That was just a bit of grass. Okay, that's all right. Is that a graphical thing, or... Okay. Okay, so where you got on the gas there, yeah, you got on the gas, yeah, wait quite a lot longer until you're like all the way around the inside, and then if you get on the power any time earlier, it will wash out just like it did then. Obviously the tyres are cold now, but even so, you were quite a lot earlier on the gas than I would be. Your prime focus, yeah, you did. Your prime focus is on staying on the inside, no matter how you do that, until the curb is nearly finished. Okay, so we're going to go faster again through there next time and allow the car to run wide on the exit. Okay, cool. That's one of the steps. Definitely braking less hard will be a big part of it. It's okay, it's only an outlet. That's good. You're good through the final corner. I'm just watching it back. I think we actually just kept the steering on. When you see the replay, it'll be obvious. I think you just kept turning. That's much better, much better through there. Yeah, essentially, as you went through the apex of turn 1, you kept turning right when the track had straightened, and the momentum of the rear just kind of it went. Okay, if you want to keep going right, I'll go really right. I'll show. I'll try and remember to just show you that one back, so it makes sense. And that's decent too, that corner. The only change through there is wait slightly longer before you get on the gas. A little bit like the other corner we're talking about. If you stay tighter just that moment longer, you won't have to back off and avoid the curb on the exit. That's better, yeah. Okay, we're getting there. You can still carry more speed, but that was definitely better. Yeah, yeah, a little bit too much. Well done for holding it. A little bit too quick into the final corner that time, but kept it on the track. Yeah, it's just the right size. Oh, yeah. You could see as it was happening. It's okay though. You can still do the rest of this correctly. Yeah, and you can lift. You don't have to take it full throttle. You know, until you know you've nailed that angle and you've perfected it. It's not a problem to kind of have a half lift on your way to the right-hand apex, just to make sure you don't go too wide. Okay, so on this one, just stay tighter, slightly longer, and then go for it. That was good. That was good. No, that was good. You actually went a little bit too slow in the middle because you were able to climb on the grass. That's what slowed you down that time. Yeah, it was the mid-corner speed was just a few miles an hour too slow, that was all. Okay, getting there. Getting there for sure. That definitely flowed better than I've seen before. Okay. I think you were a little bit too keen to get back on the power, and then so maybe you did brake early and you went in slower than before, but whatever it was, it prompted you to get on the power early and pushed you a little bit wide. Okay, so stay off the grass and this left, but you can get near it. That's okay. That's fine. That was good. Okay, just too quick into there that time. We didn't get the didn't get it slowed down. Up to that point though, first two corners were good. You know what you're aiming for anyway. That's okay. I'm going to talk to you about that corner you've just done in our next little pause, because there's a way you can make it a tiny bit easier. Let's see how we do this. Definitely way better than before. There's still a little bit of time to find through there, but it's a lot nicer now. You're not just like going super tight to the inside for no reason. Let's see if we can do one complete clean lap, and then we'll just have a little reevaluate. So keep it super tight. That's good. You can have a half lift on the way to the apex. Okay, well controlled. Yeah, I think you just tried to be a little bit a little bit optimistic with the mid corner speed on the angle you're on, but you made it. Oh. Just going to take this opportunity to go back a couple of corners. Yeah, okay. I can see what happened through that. The tight right-hander that we've been focusing on. You did the left pretty well, and then you dived straight into the right. You just kind of went in a bit too soon, and that meant you were very at quite an acute angle when you got to the inside. You can just delay the turn in a tiny bit, and it'll be much easier. Right, let's see this one faster. Yeah, nice. You got so much downforce there. So let's see if we can make the next one clean. Definitely seeing improvements though. It's just, it won't feel natural until you've done it a few more times. That's better. More patient through the middle that time. Good stuff. Yeah, it was. It was. Okay, that was a good line through there. So just be slow and tight in this first section. And just slightly delay the turn in. So we still went in a tiny bit early, but that's the best I've seen you do it, though. That's the best I've seen you do it. We'll go over the whole lap on this next one. Good effort into there. I like that you were a bit braver with the entry speed. Okay. Feel free to do one more if you want, if you think you can improve in turn 1 or something, but that last one is good enough for us to have a look through the data for sure. That was a better turn 1. Much better. Yeah, we went a little too quick into the left, and it made you kind of out of position for the right, but you made the most of it. It wasn't as good as your previous lap. That was a decent effort through there. You didn't kind of ride up on the curb or anything that time. Better turning point there. That's the best turning point I've seen you do for that right-hander. You just waited slightly longer and then smoothly turned in. Previous laps, you've turned in early and then had to turn away and then turn a second time. Okay, good effort. So, just stop the car anywhere here because I want to tell you some more things. So we'll carry on working on the things we've already spoken about. So we'll keep polishing those, but I want to now use the rest of the lap. You know, whilst you're doing the other bits of the lap, I want to make sure you're also picking up the little bits and pieces that we can improve on in other corners. But that was a real good start. I know you didn't improve on the lap you did on the first run, but the corners that, in fact, we'll see on the data in a moment, the corners we were talking about, I'm sure will be better. So before we look at the data, let's just run through. That was your fastest lap, so let's just run through that one. And I'll try and point out some things that I think we should change for the next run. Okay, so first corner. When you do this well, you do it really well. Like, that's really nice. You see the way the car kind of... This is a very, very steep downhill bit here. You can't really tell on the replay, but you can kind of tell when you can see that the curb disappears. It is genuinely a steep drop-off just as you get to the apex. So the car kind of drops down there. You see it kind of does this little hop, which the way you did it there was really nice. What you don't want to do is what we did a couple of laps previously. I'll see if I can find the right one. You know the one I was talking about where you kept the lock on it? It wasn't that one. Is it this one? Or was it earlier? No, it must have been earlier. Maybe it was this one. Why can't I find it? Maybe it was the first lap. Right, so there are a couple of things. So we went in pretty early on this one. So you see we're already turning in like now. We're heading towards the apex. And if I go on board with you, you'll see you turn right. And as the car starts to lose the rear, we keep turning right, and we keep turning right, and you've straightened the wheel, but it's like we're not doing any opposite lock at all. So you're telling the car to go exactly where it wants to. You know, it wants to go over there because of the momentum, and we're not doing anything about it. To your credit, actually, I'm being a bit unfair. You did reduce the steering angle, but we needed a whole bunch of opposite lock as well at this point to keep it going that way. But it was kind of the momentum of turning in early, arriving at the apex really tight compared to how you normally would, the angle we're at, and when it dropped off that little thing, and we might have been going slightly too fast as well. Let's have a look, like 90-ish K. And on your best lap, what are we doing then? See how much longer you're waiting to turn in here, and like you're nearly level with the bollard at this point, and then you turn in, and you're doing 84k. So you were on a tighter angle on that first lap, and you were going quicker. So anyway, that was that. Right, so let's carry on watching this round. That was good anyway. Your good lap was good. Don't feel like you have to stay super, super tight here on the exit. You can run right out wide, and if you're on the power, as long as you're not having to back off because you've gone too wide, then it's fine. And that works. And here, you don't feel, again, like you have to get all the way to the right. If you go through turn 1 fast enough that you're still wide here, and all you do is get back to the middle for this one, that kind of works. It's not bad into this corner because it's just so wide. So you don't have to get all the way over here. In fact, I'd say on this lap, we probably turned in quite late for this. But, you know, you made it through, no problems. You had quite a lot of space on the exit, so we can probably carry more speed through there and end up out here somewhere. And your fastest lap here on that run wasn't your best lap into this corner. The previous lap, yeah, we're still, remember how I was arriving here at like 90 or something, and we're at 112. So you can see how, although you attempted to be on the right line, we're not able to get on the concrete, and we're still going quicker than I am when I arrived there, and obviously that pushes you wide in the middle. But you didn't go all the way over here like before, because you didn't get on the power, whereas previously you go in and get on the gas and just push yourself wide. So I'm going to look at your previous lap through there to show you a more representative run of what you do on a good one. Still pretty quick on the way in, but you've managed to be all the way left here. And the only error, you'll see it from the cockpit view, the only error is you turn a little bit early and then you turn away, if I remember. So we turn in now, and then you go, oh, that was a bit early, and then we have to straighten and then turn again. So it's kind of like we got to the inside a bit sooner than we wanted to. So if you can, at this point where you're now turning right, if you just stay straight for like a fraction of a second longer, like really not very much longer, just a tiny bit, you won't get to the yeah, maybe to the end of the grass. I'll tell you what, let's have a look at mine. It's actually mainly how fast you turn the wheel, because you can get away with turning at your normal point if you're not doing it like sharply. If you just really smoothly turn in, it'll allow you to carry more speed, and you'll just arc towards the apex there slightly better. You know, you'll just arrive there at the right trajectory, not a little bit shallow. Let's see where I turn, because I have no idea. I mean, I'm deeper than you on this lap, so here we go. So I've got less room to play with. Oh look, I'm turning straight in. I'm actually turning directly in. So what's the difference? Okay, I bet the difference is that I'm happy to go wider. Okay, so I'm using a different track to you. That's what's happening then. So you're playing within the confines of the white lines, and I'm just subconsciously I'm using the edge of the green there as part of the track. How funny. I thought the line you were doing here was exactly what I was doing. But actually, it kind of is, but we're offset because my track goes wider than your track. So when we go back on board with yours... No, that's fine. There's a small amount of understeer, but it's actually, this isn't really understeer. It's going where I want it to go. It's a very slight front scrub. If I tried to apply more steering angle, it would definitely immediately understeer for sure. But it's kind of just on the limit of what the front can take. Because it's still reacting. You see there's quite a period there from the apex onwards where I just don't ask for any more. I get to here and I'm like, yeah, that's as much as it can cope with. And then obviously reduce as we get back onto the straight. Okay, so let's go back to you. So I don't give you duff advice. This was the one where you did it well. So let's watch this one. Okay, so actually we stayed tight a bit too long. Now we saw this. We saw this when I said I leave the curb at the third red bit. And you can see here, it's this bit where I leave. And we're staying until nearly the first one. So actually, we're now going a bit too far. Okay, that's fine. we can release slightly earlier, but it's kind of contingent on you letting it run all the way wide out here onto this green. So let's just go on board and see how it looks. Okay, actually, now watching this back with the benefit of seeing what I'm doing, which apparently I had no idea I was doing, you can turn straight in, but you just have to let the car run wider, otherwise you're in danger of it feeling a bit too tight and losing the rear. But anyway, on your good one, you did a really decent version, much better than you were doing before. So let's go back to your fastest lap rather than that one, and we'll carry on through the rest of the lap, because there's a really easy win coming up that I want you to just change. So aside from not going up the curb there, that's pretty good into there. I like that. So that fast left-hander is good. Make sure we get to the apex down here. You did it? Great. So that section is pretty nice. Now it's this next run down the hill here that I want you to change. It's going to be the easiest change I ever ask you to make. Just don't go to the right of the track for no reason. So you just go over here. I've got no idea why you go over here. You could have just stayed on the left because it's just an easy flat corner. But you open up this corner for absolutely no reason. We go all the way over here and we just hover out here and then we kind of get back to the left. You're essentially treating that left as if it's actually a tight corner and it's just not. So you can just stay on the left all the way down there. And it'll feel, when you do that for the first time, you'll be like, why on earth was I going 20 meters further? But just to prove to you, I'm just going to show you. I know it sounds overly simple, that one. It won't gain you a lot of time. It might gain you a tenth. But here, this bit here. So you exit that corner and stick tight to this white line. Don't do a single inch more than you need to, because you still end up exactly where you wanted to be here. Right, let's really widening it. Yeah. Now this is the next part. Now we haven't spoken about this yet. Let's hope I'm not imagining the line that I think I'm doing, but I think I'm trying to get quite close to the inside, but only really get fully to the inside, about 2/3 of the way around the corner. In short, I'm trying to put a bit of emphasis on getting a really clean exit and get a good drive up the next hill. So let's see. So I'm missing this first bit, and boom. Good. I wasn't imagining it. So my apex is 2/3 of the way around, whereas yours is here somewhere. It feels like you're trying to get to the inside and stay there all the way around. By kind of deliberately missing the first part, getting quite close, but deliberately hovering around here, it gives you a bit of room to then tighten up at the last minute there and get to full throttle earlier, like now. So now I'm at full throttle because the car's angled well enough. Yeah, and that's because for you it's trying to push you wide off the track, and that's all just because you've apexed early. You're you're just trying to navigate the corner at a tighter angle than I am. So in the cockpit it looks like this. What that also does, the added benefit, because it's a bit of a twofer this, by going slightly wider on the way round, I'm not having to slow down as early. I can afford to trail the brakes in a bit later and deeper because the wheels are slightly straighter. I'm not turning as hard as early. So it's a small difference, but on the slow-mo you can see some trailing here. I've still got quite a lot of brake on all the way to there, and then it's finished. And then to full throttle. Potentially. So we spoke, I said I was going to give you brake markers, didn't I? And I haven't done it. So where am I braking? Here, so before the tower. Oh, you can't see because it's off the screen. Let's change view. Oh, you still can't see the tower. Hang on. Okay. Yeah, I'm not thinking of that, but what am I thinking when I'm in the car? What is actually... I'm kind of just thinking... Now feels like the last chance, the last possible time I could get away with braking. So basically, before this bit, for sure. So before the concrete, quite a long way before. A few car lengths before this big old extra bit of concrete. trying to get back to yours. Yeah, and you might, and I bet you're trying to do that, and also trying to stop the car more, because you're trying to stay tight from the early part. If you only need to get tight near the end, you've kind of got the freedom just to release the car into the entry of that corner. Let's see. I won't see your exact brake point because I can't see your input, but oh yeah, you're way later. Judging by the audio, you're like here. So yeah, a long way later. Yeah. But you can see how that's where you've met the inside, so you're already tight. And from here, the car wants to push wide, whereas I haven't actually even got to the inside until about there where the cursor is. So yeah, and you're having, I mean, you didn't run wide there at all, but you're having to work hard to not run wide. So those are the additional small changes. So it's really continuing to maximise turn 3 and 4. Give yourself the freedom to run nice and wide on the exit of turn 4, just not so wide that you get an off track. Don't drive round the outside of that flat out left when you can just stay left. And try and deliberately just miss this early phase. You're not, this is fine here. It's just that there, where you meet up with the inside there, you can see when we go up high, you can see how early that is in the corner and how much more corner you've got left to go. And so if you were to kind of draw a straight line to where your car wants to go at this point, the car always kind of wants to go straight on. It's over here somewhere. Whereas mine, because it's here, mine wants to go over here somewhere. It's just like a little bit of an easier exit attitude. So Brooklands is the left, and then Luffield is the one that looks like this. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So the only difference to Luffield, the only reason that this is a little bit different is Luffield is probably very slightly tighter, but the main thing is there's no entry curb to use. So at Luffield, this bit where my cursor is has a big wide curb that you can kind of cut across. And because of that, that means there's more benefit to making an early apex and then running wide in the middle and then taking the second one. With this one, you kind of don't have that option. Plus the track's slightly banked, so it works in your favour to go a little bit wider on the entry than you would at Luffield. But you're right, that it's a really, really similar profile corner. It's just at Luffield, you've got a bit here that you could kind of cut across, and this doesn't. Also, you arrive at Luffield over on the right-hand side. Because of Brookland, this one, you've got the... If Luffield had an entry this wide, if this was the approach to Luffield, you'd probably take it way more like we are here. And if you see how this is cambered inwards, it's got this kind of banking down to the inside. But Luffield is dead flat, and you arrive tight on the right. So you have to go wide in the middle, because you couldn't physically do what we're doing here, because you'd have to kind of get all the way back over to the left, and it would be dead. It would be really, really slow. Okay, so turn. Yeah, it's good though. Well spotted. Turn 3 and 4. Then we're going to just continue to perfect that. You can bleed off the inside curb with 3 red blocks to go. Just make sure when we turn to the right, be smooth with the steering. You can use a lot of angle in the middle, but don't go straight to the inside and get there too soon. Meet it in like the geometric centre of the right-hander. And you can touch the curb there. It's not too bouncy. We've already said about not going too far around the corner that's just before this one. We've already spoken about what to do with this one. Okay, and final thing, continue to try and maximise this next left, but use some of this pretend grass. If you go all the way out to the edge, it'll give you an off track, but you can be at least in the middle, and that's going to really open up this corner for you. Because that is good. You're using the right amount of curb there. You can just see, because you're coming from here, not from here, you're like 1 car width tighter than you could be. And that's going to make this easier. But this is, I mean, that's really good. The line that you ended up with on this lap was really good. And then what happens here? This is good too. Yeah, you did a really, really good run through there. Perfect line on the way into that. Like, the way you met up with that apex there is just right. not using the curb but using the flat part. And then there's one more thing I'd like you to try on this last run, and that is risk a bit more entry speed into this chicane. Now, there's a couple of reasons. You're making it easily at the moment, and going as slowly as you're going into there actually adds a little bit of risk. It's not adding, like your line, you're able to dictate a little bit more easily going slower. But the curbs feel much worse at this speed, so when you hit one, you don't kind of glide over it. It's like an impact, and it can unsettle the car more. Plus, you're now accelerating from a lower speed, and obviously it's much easier to spin the wheels on on throttle on the exit if you're accelerating from a lower speed. If you're already doing a higher speed, there's not enough torque to overcome the grip as easily. So I'm going to just show you what it looks like at the speed. I feel quite safe through here. I don't feel like I'm taking the mickey, but I'm going in quite a lot faster through here. So what are we down to? Like 74. So it's good that you're being careful, but I think you can probably gain at least half a second quite easily from just being a bit less careful, but still careful enough that you're not risking crashing. So let's just show you it, and then I'll download the data, and then we'll do another run. Right, here we go. Looks like about midway between the 100 and the 50. Yeah, it's there we go, and that doesn't really look out of shape either. Like the car kind of did what I wanted it to do. What I'm aiming to do is use all of the flat curb and none of the raised curb, if possible. If I've gone in wrong, say I've gone through here too fast and I have to use some of the raised curb, I will, but I'll just be conscious not to get on the throttle hard whilst doing it, and I'll really let the car run wide out here. And that's because if I was to smash the throttle, I'd just run out of track because I'm already going so much quicker, if you see what I mean. So in order to, you'll see the lift probably happens at exactly when I'm turning right. So turn right, lift, it grips up, and back on the gas. So there's definitely quite a lot of speed potential through there. You just have to, just remember it's going to come at you quicker. You're going to have to go left, right. You've got to be quite sharp with your inputs and just tell the car where you want to go. Be like one step ahead of it if you can. Like, the track goes left, right. So be ready to go left, right. You're almost turning before you realise you're doing it. But yeah, that's it. Those are the things. Let's go do another. Oh, yeah, whilst you're doing your outlap, I'll bring the data up just so I've got the middle runs saved. And helpfully, it lost your previous lap, so let's go grab that as well. It's okay. I haven't even been watching yet because I'm just loading up this data, so don't worry. I didn't see it. I'm just taking a little look. Yeah, your line was way better through turn 3 and 4, but you did still try and go in a bit quick. But we saw that on the video. Okay, that's all right. It's still an outlap, so it's fine. And yeah, your speed through the 90 left and right is much quicker. You've gone directly between your first run and my run through there. So in terms of your mid corner speed, so that's good. And there's still more to come. And then final chicane. Yeah, you're actually much more careful and slow through the entry of that final chicane on your best lap of run 2. Okay, right, I've got that saved. Let's get back on board with you. Good. That looked nice. And that's good too. Yep, that's really nice. That little complex looked really good. So just bear in mind your tyres are going to be slightly colder than ideal into this chicane, but you can still go a little bit quicker than normal. You've just got to really be on the ball with the steering inputs. That was a lot faster than normal. You were about 30k quicker than me on the entry that time. But, you know, I like the bravery. Yeah, I think you just... Yeah, you you arrived at the first curb at 140k. That wasn't going in. Yeah. That was a decent line through there. Was that an off track? Okay, it was only just an off track then, because you were very, very close to that being just right. So well done. Okay, stay left here. I can see you wandering over to the right. Yeah. But it's okay. It's going to feel like that as you kind of get used to the new technique. The point of this line that I'm trying to get you to do into there is that you can actually go in faster. So you don't worry about trying to brake more than before. Use the grass on the right here. Yeah, so the fact that you were able to get to that curb says you probably went in too slow, because you shouldn't be able to drive up that inside curb. It should you know, understeer if you try and turn quite that hard. I'd need to see the data. It obviously wasn't like super tidy, but it's going to be a bit scrappy the first few times you carry more speed in, because you've got to recalibrate all your steering inputs and, you know, your lift point and all that kind of thing. So, okay. Yeah, it might be that you were going so slowly into that chicane before that even a scrappy, faster version is significantly faster. Okay, yeah, so that looked like a little bit too much steering input. I'm just watching it back now. Yeah, we went from left to right, like quite hard right, and the car just couldn't quite cope with it, that was all. Just make sure that right-hand turn, once you've done the really long, tight left, that right-hand turn into turn 4, it can be like 90 degrees of lock, but just don't get straight to 90 degrees. Make it like a smooth input to the right. Nice. I actually really liked your entry there. We probably still ended up slowing it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to ride up onto the grass, but the entry phase was good. That's better. That's better than last time. Well done. Good stuff. Yeah, that section was nice. So when you get that one right, you really get it right. Well done. Well done for hanging on to that. Good exit there. Okay. We're definitely getting closer to the ideal through there. Yeah, we were a bit delayed getting it turned into that right-hander, that was all. Okay, so try and avoid the grass in the middle here. And then you can go for it. Let's go. That looked pretty neat. Again, good entry into there. That looked nice and fast. The right-hander, you did like an initial sharp turn and then stopped and then tried again. So just do one smooth turn into there. But as a section, it looked pretty decent. I think just a little bit slower through the middle. So your entry line looks really nice into there. I think you're just trying to be slightly too brave on the way in. You're now, I imagine, yeah, I imagine you're going in a bit quicker than I am now. I'm just watching it back to see. So as you get to the middle, yeah, I think you're going through the middle part, maybe 10 kilometers an hour quicker than me, and that's just why. I mean, you still just about made it, but you probably lost time because it was, you know, a bit scrappy and running wide over the curve and stuff. Okay, good exit there. Yeah. Yeah, nice smooth input. Looks good. Really nice down into there. That's good. Don't wander wide. Stick to that white line. Okay, good effort through there. Nice. Just be wary. Just be, yeah, a little too slow. Just be wary of turning the wheel too much in the middle. You don't need to get it straight back to the inside. You can like smoothly get back to your apex. Yeah, no problem. I'm just distracting you by talking as well. I'm just watching it back. I wonder whether we just braked a bit too late. I think you braked a bit too late and had to brake whilst you were really turning in. Okay, that was nice. The middle part was nice. So your aim for that chicane is to arrive there really fast and just at the last minute get it slow enough that you can neatly go left, right. You know, just and obviously not go quite as slow as you were on your previous runs. But that was a nice looking effort through there. What you don't want to do is, yeah, if you can avoid the sausage curbs, that's obviously better. Okay, on the exit of turn 2 here, let the car go wide. Like, so use all the track on the exit here, and that would give you a much nicer entry into turn 3. Okay, stay on the white line. Yeah, you just have to turn right a little bit earlier than you are, I think. You just have to be really proactive because it goes downhill and drops away from you. If you're slightly too late, it just washes wide. That'll look pretty neat. Nice. Really nice entry there. You're trusting the downforce a lot more now. Really good. Really, really good through there. That was a... That, to me, was the nicest one I've seen you do through it. And a great final corner as well. Okay. Well, whatever you did, it worked. The only change, I'd say, on the exit, you were in danger of losing the rear because you almost kept the steering on for too long, but you managed to just get the wheel straight in the end quick enough. Right, we're now going into that left. And obviously on this lap it was too quick, but the last couple of laps as well, we've gone in a little bit too fast. That was just a natural progression, that lap, where you went really too fast. So just wind it back a bit, because your line on the way in is really good now, and you know what you're supposed to do. You know, if you enter that corner correctly, you know what to do next. It's just when you go in a bit too fast, you make your life really difficult. Okay. Yep, well spotted. Yeah, the last couple of laps you haven't been going up to 6th and it's been better. Okay, so just remember what you did on the last lap into the chicane, because it was good. So that was a little bit too slow turning right that time, but you know, you kind of missed the second part for no reason other than we were a bit too slow going from left to right. But it's going to be like that for a little while. You're kind of getting your eye in, just trying to get closer and closer to that perfect target. So let's do 1 or 2 more here. Great entry to the first corner. Really nice. Okay, so same as before. Use all the track on the exit here, but don't enter this corner too fast. Get it slowed down so you can get on the grasscrete. And then you can go for it. Oh, it must have been very, very close. Ah, okay. Actually, on the inside, like on the way around. Right, okay. Yeah, I think you actually slightly overslowed it on this lap and it let you turn in a bit too much. But don't worry about that. It's only very minor. So it felt like we went back to the previous method into there on that lap, where we went in quite slow. Okay. Yeah, you're so much better through that sector now. At the end of this straight. Oh, that was nice. Oh, that was... Oh, okay. That was really good. And I was like, I just hope the thing that happened wasn't going to happen. Okay. So everything you did there was really good. The only difference was you kept the right hand lock on as you got hard on the power. So as you exit that corner, you just have to really get the steering unwound and smoothly feed the power back in. Like you've made the gain. You've taken the win. You know, you've had a great entry in mid corner. So don't like abuse it with trying to gain too much on the exit as well. That was all. Up until it lost the rear, that was the best chicane you've done. That's a nice compromise. That's a good speed into there. Well done. Everything was great. Everything was really, really good. And because you were going so fast on the way through there, the revs were slightly higher than they normally are for you. But again, we kept the steering to the right just a little bit too long. Right, okay. I think you should stop in a moment. I just want to show you the replay of these last couple of corners, or last couple of errors. Make sure we finish this lap so we at least have it on file, effectively. But you're having spins, but because you're doing stuff well, and I know that sounds stupid, but it's because you're going through the earlier phase of the corner better. You've now got like a second order problem that you have to just be aware of, because it's going to always be there when you're going this quick. And that is that the revs are, you're higher in the rev range, you've got more power being produced at that exact point, and it will potentially break traction unless you're proactive about it. So this is just part of the learning curve, but you had an issue, but for the right reasons. So I'm still happy with that. Again, actually really good through the middle. I was waiting for the steering to straighten, and at the point it needed it, it didn't happen. So that's the next thing we need to be like on top of the car on. I'm going to show you. It's just practice. If you think you can do an amazing lap now, go for it. But if not, no pressure, but this one has to be your best one. So, well judged speed there again. 2 laps in a row, really good. Just make sure we run wide on the exit. Good. Okay, you did like a combination of running wide and being careful with the throttle, which is good. For this downhill right-hander, don't forget to turn in. Just get it in. Nice. And then just stick to the white line. Okay. You're so much quicker through this section than you were before. That's really nice. Really nice to do. Cool. Okay. So just do the chicane exactly like you've done it on the last couple of laps, but be ready to catch the oversteer on the exit. So effectively get the steering angle off as soon as you can once you're into the right-hander. Okay? You're halfway there. That was like, you probably went a bit slower to compensate, but... So that was a decent final lap there. That was a good effort. Cool. That's the quickest lap you've done in the last couple of runs. So just stop it anywhere there, and we'll go over the good, the bad, and the ugly. But that was good. You know, I'm trying to get you to change quite a few things, and you will encounter other problems when you go faster than you normally would through a corner. Part of the reason that you are probably under driving initially is because you don't want to lose control, you know, and you're capable of, if you go slower, then yeah, there's less chance it's going to break away. But there's so much lap time to be had if you're comfortable with just dancing on that edge a little bit, and it's quite doable as long as you've got the correct fix lined up in your driving brain ready to apply. And what I mean is, so let's just go on to this. Okay, we're on the penultimate lap here that you did. So let's just go over this one and see what happens. So this is where you first... Yeah, you picked a good speed through here. This will look nice. And then we lost the rear. So let's just watch that in slow-mo. So this was all good. At this point, I'm happy with this. The rear starts to break away. And we want to be over here. Like, we actually want the car to be over there. So the fact that we're not already there... We should be steering over there. Like, you could be turning left at this point because obviously we're in a bit of oversteer. But what actually happens is, I'll just go back to here so we can watch it all. You straighten the wheel, but at that point you give up. You're like, yep, there's nothing else I can do. So I'm going to show you that. So the rear starts to go, we straighten, and make literally zero attempt at opposite lock. Now, if you're going to be going as quick as you are here, like, you know, we're going quite fast here, you need to be prepared to always be, you know, nudging a little bit of opposite lock, because if you're on the limit, then the car is going to potentially break into an oversteer moment. At any moment, it could happen. So be ready to catch it and carry on, rather than what happened here was everything was fine. This is still fine. Okay, we've induced a bit of oversteer by probably not letting it run as wide. So you could have let it run wider to stop this happening in the first place, but we didn't on this lap. But right now, this was still catchable. The combination of like a half lift and like a tweak of opposite lock would have saved that. But the most we got to was 0 degrees, effectively, or like, you know, maybe -1 degree, like there. But you can see, well, at this point here, we want your front wheels pointed down here, but they're actually pointed directly to the barrier, which is where the car goes. So essentially, this is 2 things. First of all, okay, no, it's 3 things. Let it run wider in the first place. Second thing is, be prepared for it to try and lose the rear, because it's going to. If you are going quick and you're on the power early, it's gonna try and lose the rear at multiple times. And when it starts to go, don't give up on it. Don't kind of straighten the wheel and let that be the end. Give it opposite lock, you know, try and get it. And the quicker you can do it, the less you'll have to do. If you sense it like now, if you'd sensed it going at this point, you could have done a tiny bit of opposite lock and it would have carried on no problem. But the longer the slide develops, like now you'll need more, now you'll need loads, now you'll need loads and loads and loads. So, you know, the longer it develops, the more you're going to need to do something about it. And the earlier you can spot it, the less you'll have to actually do. It's amazing how many things in life that is true for. But yeah, so you did this all correctly. It was only that it was the ending that was wrong. This is all great. It's just at this point here where we've got this much steering angle on and the revs are picking up. As the revs are picking up, we should be unwinding and letting it go, you know, letting them go and letting the car flow, and then it wouldn't have tried to break away. But if you do for whatever reason need to hold it tight, you know, there might have been a car next to you if you were racing, so there might be a legitimate reason that you're holding it this tight. Just be ready to catch it. That's it. Right, so that was that one. Where was the other one? Was it on this same lap into the final chicane? Or was it on the previous lap? I think it was the Let's see. It might have been the previous lap. Oh no, it was this one too. Okay, cool. So this is exactly the same thing. So this is great. Okay, you've hit the sausage curb there. I think on the previous lap you didn't. But we hit the sausage curb, but that's not why we've spun. Because we'd have spun off to the left if it was this sausage curb. Oh, wow, the way the rear tweaked around there. Like the way you hit it and suddenly it, like, there, big slide and land. But everything's still okay. We turn right. And as you turn right and get back on the power, let's go in the cockpit, not on the blimp. Same thing again. Look at the opposite lock. Nothing at all. So it's obviously like a trend. So this is good because it means if we fix it, you'll fix it in every kind of occasion the way this happens. But right now, I'd be thinking, right, I really want to go over to that red curb. I want to get right the way across to it. And actually, you don't make any attempt to go there. We want the wheel to be as straight as possible at this point, like really unwinding it because you're trying to get on the power. And obviously, as you get on the power, it breaks the rear away. And you know that. You know when I get on the throttle in a rear-wheel drive car, it's likely to oversteer. So your driving brain needs to be primed for that like little explosive opposite lock. And again, exactly the same. I'm just going to be repeating myself, but exactly the same as at the previous time we just looked at. The further in you get, the more opposite lock you should be giving it. And right now, I want to see your tyres like facing all the way down, like 90 degrees left. And if you still spin, then I won't be annoyed at you. I won't be telling you off because it's like, you know what, you did everything you could. You got off the gas, you gave it maximum opposite lock. It was obviously just going to go. The problem was earlier on. But here, actually, the problem wasn't earlier on. You'd got all this. Okay, it wasn't perfect, but this was all fine. It was what happened at the final part that caused the major issue, which was obviously the loss of loss of control. And I'm just going to go back to the previous one because I think it happened on this lap as well. I just want to, because I think you did the corner even better on this one. I think you actually. Right. Okay. Yeah. Well spotted. Yeah. And if we were eye tracking you, which obviously we're not because we're not in a facility with eye tracking, but I've seen this in like simulator, like big professional simulator centers, and that's something we probably would see quite quickly. You'd see that at like this point here, I'm looking over here to this exit curb, and I'm trying to just make sure that my trajectory is a line from where I currently am out to there, and doing whatever I need to do that. Whereas you're saying, you're maybe still focusing down here, and looking up here late. Yeah, okay. So that's something that well spotted. Well done for seeing that about your driving. That's something we can try and work on. So I know we've run over a bit here, but I'd like to just tell you this anyway because this is quite an important thing. So this is where a professional driver will be looking during a corner, right? So this is basically the same. I'm going to go through a few corners because you're going to hear a pattern here. So as you're going down the straight, you're looking to where your turning point is. So say it's down here. It's roughly over here. And the closer you get, you start to flick your vision to the apex of the corner. So you're still aware that you're headed towards a turning point somewhere over here, but you have a couple of momentary flicks of vision over to the apex, just to kind of build a mental picture of where it is, what your line is in relation to that. And then just before you get to your turning point, which is obviously coming up soon, you've already flicked your vision here. So right now I'm already looking over here at this apex. And then just before I get to that apex, my vision flicks up to the next place I'm going. So now I'm looking over here because I'm seeing this through my peripheral vision. And the moment you know you're headed for the next point, you know you're going to the right place, your vision flicks up to the next part. So they call it like lifting your vision. But most drivers, even like Formula 1 driver level drivers, have never actually thought about that. No one's probably told them this is a thing you should do. It just tends to naturally develop when you've done it for ages. But then when you put an eye tracker on people, they all do the same thing, even though they couldn't probably tell you that they were doing it beforehand. So I'm just going to show you like the first couple of corners just to show you some different corners. I'm not saying you have to force yourself to do this, but it's good to be aware if you are focusing a bit too much kind of at the end of the bonnet, which is a standard thing. So let's do it in real time. So I'm looking down here towards the turning point, and now I'm looking at the apex, and now I'm looking at the exit, and now I'm looking at the next turning point, and now I'm looking at this apex. It's kind of, so your eyes move before your hands move. You're already looking where you want to go, and you use your peripheral vision to finish off the thing you were previously doing. So, because I'm looking over at this apex, doesn't mean I can't still see. I'm still aware of how far I am from the edge. I'm not having a focus on it because I don't need it. You can kind of feel how far you are from the edge, if that makes sense. So it gives your brain like half a second or so more processing time, and it means you go where you want to go rather than like with our spin at the chicane, where I'm saying you want to be straightening the wheel. Your driving brain probably hasn't been prompted to do that yet because you weren't looking over at that bit yet. So it makes sense that you're still turning right. So yeah, if we were doing a real life session, I was sitting next to you, this would have, if we were in a real car, it becomes a bit more obvious. But with our kind of the distance that you have doing this virtually, it's not. I should have picked up on that earlier. Actually, that's the thing that's a professional failure of me to not have just suggested that to you before. Sometimes I assume, like, because I do a thing, I'm like, yeah, other people are probably doing that too. But actually, that is a very common thing that people miss when they're newer to track driving. So yeah, so here where you're kind of focused over here and you keep the angle on, I'm very much, yeah, like I'm very much aware of, is the car going to that place that I want it to go? Even if I'm not staring at it, I know that it wants to end up here, and I'm constantly assessing, is it going there? And if it wasn't, if it was kind of rotating round, like your car went kind of around here, didn't it? If it was carrying on going that way, I'd have been like, whoa, no, I need to open up because I need to be over there. I don't want to be over here. I want to be over there. And so, yeah, you just kind of open the steering to that point. Exactly. Yeah, because where you're keeping the wheel turned to the right, maybe it's because it just hasn't twigged early enough that I actually should have been over there anyway. So if you're turning, if the car is going this way, but I need to be over there, it's obvious immediately that you need to be turning there. But if you're not already in that, if it's just, oh, the car's gone, and you don't have a thing to relate that to, like it's going over here and I want to go over there, then obviously you're going to be slower to respond to that. I'm going to just get that last run you did, by the way, before we end. I just want to make sure I've got that saved. And I'll make a couple of notes about exactly what we've just spoken about, because that's a good thing for us to remember for next time. I'll just prompt you before we start. Let's go here. Yeah, that would be. I think we've got enough time. Yeah, there's still half an hour left in this session, like on iRacing, so we should do that. Okay, so there's a lot of coloured lines here. Let's get rid of your previous one, so we're not. So this one here was your second run. So now all we've got is, if I can colour this green. All we've got is my run, the first run you did, and the run you just did, which was a tenth of a second slower, but let's see the places that you are actually now faster. So let's see where it's better. Okay, so this is just turn 1 and 2. This was the corner we were kind of focusing on. Yeah, so, I mean, this is great. Look how much closer, like your green line, compared to how it was on run 1 with the red, you're now completely matching what I'm doing through there. The technique is essentially the same now. So that's really good. Really, really good. I'm happy with that. And you get a really good exit. So the green line is ahead of the red line at this point on the Delta. You're 4/10 quicker than you were at the equivalent point on run 1. So you obviously lose a bunch of time somewhere because you end up 1/10 slower, even though you're 4/10 up here. So let's see, where's the next part? So that's all really good. It's here. It's here. Into this right-hander, I think you just go really, really wide on this lap. I'll just zoom in here. Oh, no, you don't go wide. No, you obviously just go slow. Yeah, you just underdrove it. Yeah, we braked really early here and quite hard, and then just went through slow. That was just simply not trusting the car could go through as quick. I don't know why on that particular lap, because normally you don't do that. And that is where, so you go from being 1 second behind. In that one corner, you lose 1.1 seconds. That is crazy. That's such a massive amount. Okay, so you would easily be 1.1 seconds quicker if you just did it how you did it on like most other laps. So let's just make a little note on here. I'm making it red. Yeah. You were much, much closer. A lot closer. In terms of speed, in terms of Delta, you still lost a bit because of how wide you went, because you just travelled further. But, yeah, it was better before in terms of speed. But if you do the correct line and you carry a bit more speed, it'll be better. On other laps, you didn't do that. So on other laps, you were absolutely fine there. I'm going to just click here and just say, keep this up. Okay, good. That's good. And that's not far away from me then, if you can do that. Okay, here. Okay, so yeah, on this particular lap, you braked really early for that long Luffield kind of right-hander. You then realised and went, oh shit, and you stopped braking really early. You know, you stopped braking early too. So your deceleration went really steep and then obviously flattened out. And that then meant you went too quick on the entry, and that then meant you pushed a bit wide. It all just kind of went a little bit wrong on that lap. Essentially, go in quicker than you did there, but just try and do the technique we were talking about with just kind of deliberately missing the first part and then cutting back. What the reason you ended up going wide here with the green one was because you went in too slow and then you sped up. That's it. Like, that's literally it. So just don't, or I shouldn't say you sped up. You stopped slowing down. So where you'd normally continue decelerating, you didn't because you'd already slowed down too much earlier, and so it just made it impossible to judge. So I'll put a little note here. Go in slightly faster to avoid being off the brakes as early. It makes sense in my head anyway. But yeah, just mean, yeah, trust the downforce on the entry and don't be afraid to brake into the corner a bit more if you need it. Whereas you were trying to stop it before the corner. So look where your braking finished on that one compared to, if you look at where the red dot is on the map, compared to where my braking finished there. It's like I'm just doing the braking deeper into the corner, and that's why it actually turns well and why I can go in faster for longer. And then here, okay, this section is dramatically better than you did on the first run. So I'm just checking that I'm not being told I need to go to the train station. I am, but I've got 10 minutes before I need to leave. Yeah, so this is the 9. Yeah, it's like Becca, she works really late in London, so she gets home quite late. And I had to take her into the station this morning. That's why she doesn't have a car parked there, because she drove all the way to the station, which is like 20 minutes, and there was no parking space. It was because she was late going in, the entire car park was full, so she drove home, and I had to drive her back in and drop her off. Anyway, so yeah, anyway, you're just way better through here. We knew that. We could tell that. That's probably the part that you improved on the most. So, I mean, when you look at the delta, you're half a second-ish behind, and you end up, so you gain half a second on yourself into there, so that's good. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you take a little bit longer to get back on the throttle. So yeah, not a problem. You're doing it really well. You're not losing much time to me at all. In fact, how much is it? So you're right here on the entry, 2.7, and then once we get to the exit, okay, it's 0.3 through both corners. So through just one, it's probably like one and a bit tenths. So it's way closer. Final chicane. No, I'm not at the final chicane there. Final chicane here. Okay. Interestingly, on this lap, we were a bit slower. Why was it? Okay, you just, for whatever reason, braked really early on this one. It's probably because you knew it was going well. I'm sure that's what it is. It was already, you were on like a decent lap, the best lap of this run, and so I think you just were overly cautious. So I'm going to just put a little note here of keep up the pressure on yourself to enter the chicane fast, but make sure you're under control during the direction change. I know that sounds contradictory, those two things. It just means slow down as late as possible and don't be going slower than you could be through the middle. Basically what you did on the other couple of laps, but look up on the exit and unwind the lock. Be prepared for opposite lock on throttle. That's anywhere where you're getting on throttle and the car might be slightly unsettled. So we're here where you're doing like direction change, left, right. You know, the car has a momentum shift and you're introducing throttle. It's the perfect recipe for I'm probably going to need to apply opposite lock. I certainly am. where they're only small, my corrections are little, but it's because I'm expecting to have to do them, so I'm doing them really early, so I barely have to do anything at all. It's not kind of just a kind of tweak. Whereas if you let it develop, it'll be a big moment, but you can still save it. So be primed for it. And then final corner, you've been good the whole time. I think on this particular lap we ran a little bit wide, but generally final corner has been good. I don't know why we carried on slowing down there. What happened? Oh, okay, that was deliberate. You carried on, you just waited, you stayed off throttle too long. Okay, so you actually went in really well. Look, you're perfect, and then look how tight your exit line is. That's big. You could have just run a bit wider. Yeah, you could have just got on the power earlier. I'm smoothly on the gas from here, all the way back here, and you're hard on the gas there. So that's quite a big difference in position. That's why your line carries on slowing down, and mine gets down to here in the middle of the corner and then picks back up. So it's just because I'm allowing it to run wider, that's all. So I'm just going to say earlier throttle. And look up, yeah. Yeah, okay, that's a really good point. Because basically your driving brain doesn't have the information at this point that you've got the space available to run into. As far as it's concerned, you might have a real tight amount of space to play with, so you keep slowing down and stay tighter for longer. So yeah, this might be quite transformative. So do another run now. You've got if I shut up, you'll have time to do it. Yeah, actually I should change this. I'll stop the recording.